A rising tide lifts all ships, and right now Troye Sivan is a ship, but he could very easily be the tide. So I made a video about the Fatphobia in Taylor Swift's music video a while back, and now I'm making a video about the Fatphobia in Troye Sivan's music video. And the next time a thin, white, famous person makes another music video with Fatphobia in it, you best believe I'm going to cover it. And if I go down in history as the YouTuber that keeps bothering artists about the Fatphobia in their music videos, so be it. There are worse things to go down in history for. In my last video, I talked a little bit about being a fan of Troye Sivan since before he even came out. So to see him be so unapologetically queer in this music video is cathartic and beautiful and interesting. I think he's come a long way in the 10 years since I've been watching him, and it is really cool to see him so comfortable in his identity and his experiences, and to be showing them in an artistic way is so cool. I think that more artists like him should be this unapologetically queer and really pull back the curtain not only on what queer experiences look like, but showing that those experiences can be beautiful rather than stigmatized. I think in this political climate, art like this is so important. And I understand why a lot of people are comparing Troye Sivan to Sam Smith in this controversy, not only because Sam Smith is being used as like Troye Sivan's fat counterpart, but because Sam Smith's music and music videos are also this level of unapologetically, openly queer. I think in this political climate, subtlety and sanitization of the queer experience is just not cutting it anymore as far as queer liberation goes, as far as queer activism. I think we need less of "you need to calm down" and more of "I feel the rush," if you know what I mean. Troye Sivan's identity really is on display here, and I think that that's beautiful. I admire that. I praise him for that. I think it's so cool as a longtime fan of Troye Sivan to see his development. I think this music video is also really cool because I have experienced what is being depicted in this music video. I think that I don't know how much I could say on YouTube, but I enjoy a queer club every once in a while. And I am familiar with the rush. Okay, so I'm just gonna read the definition of what rush is. So, okay, I think that I can talk about rush on YouTube if it's in an educational manner. So I'm gonna tell you what rush is. YouTube, this is educational. Do not come for my monetization, please. So Rush is a brand of poppers, and poppers is slang for inhalants, the most popular one being amyl nitrate. These drug inhalants are referred to as poppers because of the sound the capsule or vital makes upon cracking open. Oh, I didn't know that. Poppers are sold in small bottles or vitals as solvents, meaning the liquid produces a vapor at room temperature. The vapor fumes have a strong distinctive smell and are then inhaled deliberately for an instant rush. This inhalant is extremely flammable, so always keep it away from flames. Blah blah blah. Popper side effects: a quick drop in blood pressure, lightheadedness, dizziness, increased heart rate, warm sensation throughout the body, euphoria, and it doesn't say here, but I know that it also kind of relaxes your muscles a little bit, which is why it is popular among the queer community, especially among gay men, because it assists in gay intimacy. I think that's all I'm willing to say on YouTube. Do your research, be of age, and be careful and stay safe, and be careful participating in recreational drug use. I am not encouraging the use of drugs. I am just here to give you the facts. We have to move on. But what I'm trying to say is this is part of the queer community that is extremely stigmatized and used against us a lot in the narrative, and I think depicting it in an artistic way like Troye Sivan did in this music video was really cool to see, and I was excited about it. And then I got on Twitter and I realized that, yeah, there's no fat people in this music video. So the complaint is pretty simple. There's no fat people. There's diverse people, there's POC, there's different queer aesthetics, but for the most part, all the people in this music video are thin-toned people. And I think that the criticism that there is no fat people in this music video is valid. I think that if Troye Sivan wants to truly represent a diverse queer community, there needs to be fat bodies in there. As a fat gay trans man, I really wish we could have seen some more diverse body types in this music video, right? And there's a lot of fat queer artists, singers, dancers, you know, exotic dancers that would have been perfect for this music video. I know some, you know, because that's my community. My community includes a lot of different body types, and I know dancers in the community that would have been great for this music video. And it's always sad to see an amazing opportunity missed out by a certain demographic because Troye Sivan just didn't think about it. I guess what I'm trying to say is, like, I'm in this community, like, I have been in what Troye Sivan is depicting in this music video, and I see diverse bodies. And I know for a fact that fat, queer actors, dancers, artists, singers are always disenfranchised. They are always getting tipped less. They are always getting hired less. And it is just too bad to see such an amazing opportunity be missed just because Troye Sivan didn't think to put fat queer people in this music video. So let's look at his statement about it. So Troye Sivan said in a Billboard interview, "To be honest, it just wasn't a thought we had. We obviously weren't saying we want to have one specific type of person in the video. We just made the video and there wasn't a ton of thought put behind that." You know, I appreciate the candidness of this statement, and I think that it is 100% true. I totally see that Troye Sivan just didn't think to add fat bodies into his music video, and that's the problem. I think maybe he just doesn't realize that that is exactly the problem. That's what fatphobia is. Thin people just not thinking about fat people. That is what fatphobia is. In order to have diverse bodies in your art, you need to be actively thinking about adding diverse bodies into your art. Like, it's pretty self-explanatory, right? It's pretty simple. Of course you're not going to have diverse bodies if you're not thinking about having diverse bodies. That's the criticism. Troye Sivan has the resources to uplift a significantly disenfranchised and discriminated against community within the queer community, fat people, right? He has the power to do that. And the fact that he didn't think about it is what the fatphobia is, right? Of course he didn't think about it. If he thought about it, fat people would be in the music video, right? But he didn't think about it. And that's what makes it fatphobic. Because even if you're not thinking about it, even if you're not thinking,
wow, fat people are ugly and gross and I hate them.
If you're not thinking about them, if you're not seeing them, if you're not giving them opportunities and letting them into your spaces and letting them into your community, you are excluding them from your community. Like, that's just the facts of it. And this is not exclusive to Troye Sivan and this music video. This is representative of how thin, cis, white, gay men discriminate against pretty much anybody else in the queer community that is not cis, white, gay, and thin. Thin, cis, gay men discriminate against fat, gay men constantly. Not just fat, gay men in the community. They discriminate against pretty much anybody that is not cis, thin, white, and gay like them. This is a wide-ranging problem within the queer community. And some gay men are doing it consciously. They are putting in their Grindr profiles, no fats, no femmes, no trans, no Asians, no blacks, like just the worst, most vile, disgusting, discriminatory, racist, fatphobic, transphobic shit in the bios of their profile. Like, that is who they are as a person, and they do not care. They are thin, toned, gay, and white, and they only want to hang out with and date and sleep with other thin, white, toned, gay men. That's it. And that is, you know, the worst of the worst kind of people. I'm not saying that that's Troye Sivan, but a larger subsect of that community is like Troye Sivan. It's not in their bios. If you asked them, hey, would you date a fat person? They would say, of course I would. Or if you asked them, would you date a trans guy? They'd say, of course I would. But all of their friends are thin, toned, white, cis, gay men. You can say and believe that you accept all body types, but it really shows what you subconsciously believe when you release a music video that has no fat people in it. Because it doesn't just mean that Troye Sivan forgot to find some fat dancers. It means that his team doesn't have any fat people on it. It means that his friend groups don't really have any fat people in them. Because if he did, if he was consciously actively trying to diversify the body types of his friend groups and his communities and the spaces that he's in, they would be in the music video. And that's what I'm trying to say. This is representative of a larger problem within the queer community. You know, as a fat, short, gay, trans man myself, I have experienced this level of discrimination firsthand. It's not that they hate me. It's that they literally don't even see me. I will find myself in a predominantly cis gay club, and I will be invisible there. I will actively be pushed out of the dance floor. Gay people will run into me. They will literally run smack into me and be mad at me for being in their way. That is how little they see me. One time I was literally making out with someone on the dance floor, and a cis gay guy pulled him off of me and started making out with him. That is how insignificant I am. That is how invisible I am to these guys. And you know what? The person I was making out with kept making out with him. Like, I was invisible to him too, because he was thinking, consciously or subconsciously, why would I be messing around with this short, trans, fat guy when I could be making out with a tall, thin, toned, cis gay guy, right? We were in a club. Shit like that happens all the time, but it is not the first time it's happened. It's not the last time it's happened. Shit like that happens to me all the time in these queer spaces, and that's why I actively seek out more diverse queer spaces. A lot of my friends are also fat, trans, queer people. I seek out diverse spaces because I feel more seen in those spaces. That's what you have to do if you want to represent diverse bodies. You have to find diverse people. You know, you can't not think about it. I think that men like Troye Sivan just have never had to think about it, you know, and they've never felt like they needed to. I think that his statement was very telling of the kind of community that he represents. There is a lot of discrimination and segregation within the queer community as well. And that kind of segregation and discrimination is used to the advantage of fascists and TERFs and Republicans and conservatives that are trying to further the divide in the queer communities so that we are not as strong together. But what's really important for you to understand, to all the Troye Sivans of the world, to all the white, cis, toned, thin gay men that are only friends with white cis-toned gay men and only sleep with and hang out with white cis-toned gay men. I think what y'all need to understand is that we're all going down with the ship. We are all losing our rights together. Nobody is safe here. Your whiteness and your thinness will only take you so far. And fat phobia and discrimination is going to keep happening in the queer community until cis, thin-toned white gay men start looking in the mirror, not just to admire themselves, but to ask themselves why all of their friends look the same. Ask themselves how, if they really care about queer community, how they can diversify their own personal communities. And if they care about queer community, if they care about queer liberation, they need to get their shit together. They need to start looking around and seeing who's missing. They need to start actively participating in diverse queer communities. They're gonna need to start bringing fat queer people with them, trans queer people with them, and POC queer people with them. We're gonna need to start addressing the discrimination that happens within our own communities. And this discrimination has existed for as long as queer communities in America have existed. But people like Troye Sivan can be instrumental in breaking down these barriers, and the fact that he didn't is noticeable, and that's the fat phobia that we're talking about here. A rising tide lifts all ships, and right now Troye Sivan is a ship, but he could very easily be the tide. I love what Troye Sivan is doing for queer entertainment. I hope that other artists stop queerbaiting and start being as unapologetically queer as Troye Sivan is being. I hope he rises to the highest peaks of fame and fortune, but I wish he'd look around and see who's missing and start taking other disenfranchised queer artists that don't look like him with him on that rise. And that could start with him using his resources to give fat queer artists work and representation. And while we're on the subject, I would have loved to see some top surgery scars, some trans bodies in this music video, but I'm sure that Troye Sivan didn't think about them either. Okay, I'm not saying that he should hire me for his music video. I'm saying that he should hire just any fat person.